We'll get started in just a couple of very brief moments. Wow, everybody listened very quickly. So, welcome. I'm State Controller Tom DiNapoli. I'm delighted you could all be here to our State Controller's Office third LGBTQ plus Pride celebration. I'm so glad some folks could be here in person. It's nice for us to be able to gather again. And we have many folks joining us online. So hello to the folks online. We're glad that you're part of this as well. As you know, each year during the month of June, the LGBTQ plus community and the larger community comes together to celebrate Pride on the anniversary of the Stonewall riot back in June 1969. So what better place than right here at the Stonewall Inn, the landmark space where those events took place, igniting the modern LGBTQ rights movement in New York City, New York State, and beyond. So we're so pleased to be here. We have some wonderful individuals we're going to be honoring, but first I would like to call forward, we have two special guests who I know have very busy schedules, so I want to acknowledge them, give them a chance to say a couple of words first. I'm delighted to call forward a person whose assembly district we're in, an individual I had the great privilege to serve with in the New York State Assembly for a number of years, a trailblazer for the gay and lesbian community in New York City and in New York State, a past honoree of this event, the chair of the Assembly Standing Committee on Higher Education, someone who has been an incredible advocate on so many issues affecting all the people of the great state of New York, someone who I'm very honored to call a personal friend in addition to being a colleague in government for a long time. But from my perspective, and I've served with many, many people in the legislature over many years, just an extraordinary human being who continues to make a difference. I'm so delighted for all of us in New York that she continues to want to serve us in the New York State Assembly. Please give it up for Assembly Member Deborah Glick.
Thank you so much. The controller is an extremely effusive human being, and I'm very touched by his warm words. But I want to just say to everybody, Happy Pride! I am very honored to serve this community, but when I first ran, it was a different time, and we had a lot of challenges, but I have to say that we are back in that place because across the country, we are demonized, we are attacked, we are used as political football. And we have our rights here in New York State. We are a beacon to the country, and we are going to have to continue to do that because there are forces of regression and oppression that continue to use us as an opportunity to whip up people, to get them out for conservative causes, and frankly, there are religious zealots that have teamed up with white nationalists, and we have got to keep our voices raised and our voting power strong, and we have to be united with every other community that is being attacked so that we, and that I say that particularly our trans brothers and sisters are really on the front line of being attacked. We have to be out there ensuring that future generations can have the freedom and the sense of pride in our community that we have been able to have. So I wish everybody a great Pride celebration. The controller, Tom DiNapoli, is a wonderful, wonderful person and was chosen by so many of us his first time around because of his intelligence, his diligence, and his wide breadth of knowledge of all the issues. He chaired the environmental committee, and he was a great human being, and I just want to thank him so much for his support, and I want to wish everybody here safety and celebration. Thank you.
Go get him, my friend. Give it up again for Deborah Glick. Now, Deborah Glick has been in elective office for a long time, does an extraordinary job. We're also joined by another elected official who I am also a big fan of. Now, his tenure is not as long as Deborah's, but I guarantee it will be a long tenure. And of course, I'm talking about Council Member Eric Botcher, whose district we're in as well. So, Eric, first of all, I have to I thank Eric for many things. Obviously, first and foremost, stepping up in running for public office after serving with great distinction as a staff member in many important positions for a lot of important folks. But I really thank him for being the one who brought me here to the Stonewall Inn. And we had a great visit when we did a walkthrough in his council district, and he introduced me to Kurt Kelly, the co-owner of Stonewall Inn. Did Kurt make it here yet? We'll want to say hello to him at some point. I know he's going to show up. But that really was a great introduction firsthand to this place, and to hear from Kurt so much detail about the history. It really was incredible. And so many other great opportunities to see what's going on in this wonderful council district. You know, Eric is off to a very strong start. He obviously had great support when he ran, but he's really been on the front line of so many issues of concern to the community, whether that's housing or issues related to the schools, issues for seniors. He's really been outspoken on one of those crisis areas that we all have to contend with, and that is the need for us to do so much more with regard to mental health services. He really has emerged as an incredible leader in this new, wonderful New York City Council that we have. So much talent, so much energy, and Eric Botcher is at the top of that list of making a difference. So I'm going to call Eric forward to say a few words, and as he comes forward, I'm going to say one other thing. Give him a round of applause as he comes forward. So, you're going to witness something for the first time here before I have Eric speak. So Eric's very busy representing this council district and being an advocate for his district, for the LGBTQ plus community. And whenever we're together, he says, you know, I've got some unclaimed funds from your office, and I just haven't had the time. So those of you online, right, check your website tonight, our website, Office of State Controller, unclaimed funds, guaranteed some of the folks out there, we owe you money. Well, Eric, in fact, we decided working with your staff. Now, normally when we announce someone gets unclaimed funds, we have like one of those fake big checks. But because you're so busy and you've taken so long to remind us that we owe you money, I've never done this before. You're actually getting the check itself. So,
wow, that's
however, actually, you could buy a round of drinks with this check. I won't say how much. However, I am under strict orders that I cannot give this to you, but first you have to sign, and then I can give it to you. So put your Eric Botcher right there. Otherwise, I would be... Boy, your signature's less legible than mine. But am I allowed to give it to him now? All right, you'll fill out the rest, Liz. So... The now slightly more wealthy than he was when he walked in, the great member of the New York City Council, Eric Botcher.
Thank you. Thank you so much. $153. That's a lot of money. So I thought that it was like $8 because it was a Netflix thing, and every 6 months for like the last 15 years, people have been, telling me I had unclaimed funds. But I really thought it was like $8.50. But this is great. It's a nice Pride surprise. Thank you, Controller. Thank you so much. Let's hear it for Tom Napoli. Oh my gosh. I wanted to come by here to celebrate Pride with all of you, but also to thank you, Tom, for all your support of our community over so many years. The controller mentioned that last month we came here. We spent a whole day together. It was a great day. We came here to the Stonewall Inn. We went to the Rattlestick Theater. We went to lunch at Tea and Sympathy. And then we went to Cal and Lord, where the controller gave a check for like $20,000. 38,000, one of these for $38,000 in unclaimed funds for Catlin Lord. That was just cool. That's where we made the joke about me getting a blow up check for my unclaimed funds, but the check would have cost more than the actual thing. So, but thank you so much. And we do need support right now as a community, like Deborah said, and the assault is coming from all over the country, and it's coming from right here in New York City, with a sitting member of the New York City Council, Vicky Palladino, calling her fellow council members pedophiles. Isn't that what groomer means? And it's not even about Drag Queen Story Hour anymore. That is a vessel for rehashing these evil tropes about our community, about gay men, about trans people, that we're preying on young people, that our whole point is to cultivate them and to victimize them. And that's something that has led to our community being persecuted, murdered, ostracized for thousands of years. And here we are in the year 2022, and a sitting member of the city council is not only using the term groomer, but liking other people's posts. They called my colleague Chiose a groomer, liked the post. And look, she had plenty of opportunity to apologize. Let's put the program to the side, but the language you use, acknowledge that. How much good would that do if you were to say to all your followers, let's stop using that language? Wouldn't do it. So disappointing and so disgusting. So that's what we're up against this Pride Month. But I want to end on a positive note, because Pride to me is truly one of the happiest times of year, because Pride is the opposite of shame. And so many of us grew up with and continue to have from time to time shame that's just been taught to us and ingrained by the society we live in. So Pride is a time where we affirm our pride in ourselves and our community and stand up against shame. And we do it, it's different for everyone, how everyone celebrates Pride. Some people do it with a march, with a protest. Other people do, they'll go to a party, a dance, so many different ways. However you celebrate Pride, everyone, have a great, great special Pride. Let's really enjoy the next week. I know I will. And then let's reaffirm our commitment to going forward and to finishing the fight for equality. Thank you very much.
Give it up again for Councilmember Eric Botcher, a leader not just for the LGBTQ plus community, but a leader for all New Yorkers. Thank you, Eric, so much. I know you're busy. So glad that you could be here. Before I get to my remarks, just a couple of other quick acknowledgments. We were joined a little earlier by the state senator for this area, another great leader for all of us. State Senator Brad Hoylman was here. Give him a round of applause. And I was also very pleased that we had Anna Arboleta from the NYPD LGBTQ liaison was here, along with Dominic Martorelli, NYPD officer and part of the LGBTQ outreach unit. Give it up for NYPD for their great service. I know my friend Mike Mallon is here, representing the Queensborough President's Office. He's Chief of Staff for Donovan Richards. And we mentioned Deborah Glick, Eric Botcher. Dirk McCall. Dirk is here. Where's Dirk? What's your title now?
Executive Director, Sunnyside Shines.
Executive Director, Sunnyside Shine. Dirk McCall, a great advocate. Also joined by Paul Nagel, Executive Director of Stonewall. Thank you for being here. Our friend Lou Goldstein, who's everywhere advocating for the community for many years. Lou, thank you for being here as well. So before we get to our honorees, I want to introduce a video that you're all going to watch. For the folks here, look at the monitors. Folks online, it should be coming up. It's a recording of Aiden Portes discussing his work. The video will segue into one of Aiden's music videos. Aiden is a trans Latinx recording artist and producer from Buffalo, New York. We love Buffalo. It's a community that's been going through a lot lately, as you all know. Aiden is a writer, composer, and singer, and is exceptional at what he does. Being in the music industry for a very long time, Aiden took a break after his brother died in the year 2009. Aiden came back into the business by establishing Angie Records. Angie was his brother's nickname, and the label is Aiden's tribute to him. So Angie Records has gotten a great deal of media attention in Buffalo for its service to the community, sponsoring events like backpack giveaways and free haircuts to the kids in Buffalo getting ready for their first day of school. Aiden's latest song, Que Perrero, has already reached thousands across the world. We'll be hearing an earlier song, Cupido Estupido. I hope I'm saying it right. I think I even know what that means. About love gone wrong. Anybody know about that? So let's turn it over to the video. Aiden Portes.
What's going on, guys? My name's Aiden P. I'm a Latino here from Buffalo, New York's west side. I started a record label called Ongi Records in honor of my brother who passed away 13 years ago. I'm not going to get too much into detail with that story, but I did write a book about it, and you guys can pick it up and read it. These are about the 14 chapters of his life. I started rapping in 2006 as a she. I am a trans man, a Latino trans man, proudly part of the LGBTQ community. I hope I can be a good role model to those that are afraid to live their life and come out freely. Here's a video I made called Cupido Estupido, and it's about a love story. I have in the video, if you click on the link, you'll see that it's translated in English as well. I hope you guys enjoyed as much as I did making it. Peace out.
Maldita sea el día, el daño que me causaste, la mentira, el engaño, quiero olvidarte, atrapado en mi mente, loco por verte, y las ganas que tengo para tocarte, noches que pican queriendo tu caricia, y ahora me doy cuenta que nunca era mía, qué mala noticia, Cupido lo hizo mal, el indicador que disparó no pudo encajar, y ahora soy infeliz, las ganas de amarte y no tenerte aquí. Cupido cometió un error, no te olvido, eras equivocada y un amor prohibido. Que revolú formó, que fue lo que pasó, ando desesperado con ganas de pasión, no tengo ni un retrato, la nueva lo borró, los celos que le dio cuando ya se enteró, deja que la noche pase, que pase, obvio que esto te duele, me duele, aunque tenga 1000 mujeres, no tiene lo que tú me dabas, baby. No se arrepintió, Cupido hizo un error, Cupido se arrepintió y ahora soy infeliz, las ganas de amarte y no tenerte aquí, Cupido cometió un error, no te olvido, eras equivocada y un amor prohibido. Yeah, yeah, Hungry Records, la AP, la AP, la Cupido se arrepintió. Cupido hizo un error. Cupido estúpido, Cupido estúpido. Hungry Records, la producción, Just Dre, la AP.
Well, let's thank Aiden again for that great performance and for being with us virtually. Thank you, Aiden P., Aiden Portes. That was great. And now, let me just offer some quick thoughts, and then we will bring up our honorees, which is really the highlight and purpose of the evening. I just want to echo the words that we heard from Assemblymember Glick and Councilmember Botcher, who really spoke so eloquently about what Pride Month means to all of us. It's a time to reflect on the history of the movement while also looking ahead and organizing to overcome the barriers that still lie in the way of equal rights for all. As we celebrate Pride Month in the year 2022, it's certainly true that we've come a long way in the fight for LGBTQ plus rights. There are now thousands of Pride marches and festivals in cities and towns throughout the state, throughout the nation, really around the world. Millions recognize the tremendous contributions of LGBTQ plus individuals and stand in solidarity in the ongoing fight against discrimination and injustice. We've seen tremendous gains in recent years. Passage of the Hate Crimes Prevention Act that added sexual orientation and gender identity to the definition of hate crimes. Historic Supreme Court rulings that have affirmed marriage equality. Yeah, I think it's still worth applauding since we're not sure where the current court is going. Let's applaud past good decisions and ensured LGBTQ workplace protections as well. Here in New York State, New York has been a leader in this regard. As you know, in more recent years, finally winning passage of GENDA, the Gender Equality Non-Discrimination Act, the ban on conversion therapy, and banning the so-called gay panic defense in murder cases. In 2022, LGBTQ plus Americans serve in public offices. We've had a couple of great elected officials here representing all of us, but also mayors, municipal officials, state officials, governors, members of Congress as well. You know, to me, a lot of this issue is about not just changing laws, it's changing hearts and minds. And I think it's interesting to mention a recent poll by PRRI, which is the Public Religion Research Institute. It found that 79% of Americans favor laws that would protect lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender Americans from discrimination in jobs, housing, and public accommodations. 79%. That's up from 76% last year and 69% just 4 years ago. That shows great progress. By almost every measure, LGBTQ plus community is getting stronger by the day. I do have to give recognition to President Joe Biden's administration in being fully committed to expanding LGBTQ plus rights. From his first days in taking office, the president signed executive orders restoring civil rights protections for LGBTQ people that were eliminated in the prior administration. You all know that the makeup of the administration certainly sends a strong signal. The White House reports 14% of the president's 1,500 agency appointees identify as LGBTQ, including Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Give him a round of applause, he's doing a great job. First openly LGBTQ person to serve in a presidential cabinet, Assistant Health Secretary Dr. Rachel Levine, the first openly transgender person to be confirmed by the United States Senate. Isn't that quite something? That deserves a round of applause as well. The new White House Press Secretary, Karina Jean-Pierre, first LGBTQ person ever to serve in that position. And if I could just mention, she's got Long Island roots, so that makes her doubly special, if you don't mind me saying that. But that being said, and as Deborah and Eric reminded us, we're also in the midst of a relentless wave of state laws proposed targeting queer and trans children, their families, and their schools. There are attacks on the LGBTQ plus community in state legislatures, in too many state legislatures, and in our courts. Despite the progress at the federal level and here at the state and local level in New York, there's a flood of legislation being passed in other states. Unfortunately, we have to say, in red states, right? What about all the attention being paid to Florida's Don't Say Gay bill that target queer and trans people, especially trans youth? That won't happen in New York, right? We're going to make sure something like that doesn't happen in New York. While queer and trans people are the target of these laws, they're being used to justify denying others, really everyone, basic human rights. So this affects all of us. Just last week, I think as you know, President Biden signed an executive order to counter anti-LGBTQ legislative actions in the states. As we know, this legislative assault comes amidst a growing epidemic of physical assaults and killings, particularly of trans women of color, especially black trans women, who continue to be targeted for violence at an alarming rate. So despite those clear signs of hope coming from Washington, there is no doubt that the attacks on the queer and trans communities will continue in too many of our communities across America, and that's where the concern about what the courts will do in the future is a real concern. We need to continue to be engaged and vigilant. We need to continue to stand together and to fight back. Certainly, we will do whatever we can in the Comptroller's Office. I'll do whatever I can in my role as a public official. Many of you have followed what we do in my role as trustee of the state's pension fund, where we have an impact on corporate America. We continue to push companies we invest in to change their policies, protect workers from discrimination, encourage inclusive leadership on corporate boards. With our efforts, we've actually gotten 36 major companies we invest in to adopt explicit bans on discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity, including some of the big corporations that hadn't done this before. Right now, and other trustees and institutional investors have been part of this effort, virtually all Fortune 500 companies have adopted equal employment opportunity policies protecting their LGBTQ employees. That's a great victory in corporate America. Since 2015, we filed 17 shareholder proposals at portfolio companies requesting that they improve their board diversity practices to include, among other things, sexual orientation and gender identity when seeking corporate board director candidates. These resolutions have led to 9 agreements and 3 majority votes by shareholders. And we use our audit authority to address this agenda. We've pushed for improved monitoring of hate and bias crimes. That came about with an audit that we did of NYPD and the Department of Criminal Justice Services. Many of you know we have done audits on the implementation of the Dignity for All Students Act, DASA, to make sure that our youngest neighbors in schools are being protected from harassment and bullying. And these audits have pointed out certainly improvements and recognition of the law, but ways in which implementation needs to be improved and strengthened. So we're going to continue that effort. Our shared commitment must be to ensure that every person has the right to live freely in their chosen gender identity, the right to hold a job, and the right to raise their queer and trans children with dignity, respect, and access to the health care they need. And I should also mention, in the context of our concerns, as we have the positive and happy celebrations of Pride Month across America, Brittany Griner is still being held in a Russian prison. We need to do everything necessary to bring Brittany home. So we certainly have come a long way in the 53 years since Stonewall. The bravery shown again and again over the years by so many LGBTQ plus advocates and allies across the nation, the tenacious, courageous focus on justice and equality for LGBTQ plus individuals is the through line, the direct line from Stonewall to this moment today. And we need that recognition now more than ever, that the fight continues, but that in fact progress has been made and will continue to be made. The victories that have been won have only happened because of the many tenacious and strong advocates in the LGBTQ plus community. As we celebrate Pride Month and all it represents, we must stay focused, recommit to the battles ahead. And in that regard, today's honorees are very key to this fight. When we honor people at our different celebrations, we do it because we think these are individuals worthy of recognition, but also to point out that these are individuals who are role models for the rest of us. And I really want to give a shout out to our Controller's Office staff who work so hard, not only on the Pride event, but all the other events that we do with regard to ethnic and racial and diversity celebrations. So to Erin Stevens and the InterGov staff, a round of applause. For this event, a special shout out to the member of Erin's team who really shouldered so much of the work, Liz Edmond, who's right here. Never get a bigger applause than your boss. That's all. It's just, you know. Thankfully, Erin is a very calm and forgiving person, so there'll be no issue there. And I also want to acknowledge the person who heads our diversity efforts agency-wide, came down from Albany to be here. Nancy Hernandez, Deputy Controller for Diversity, is here. So from my perspective, the leadership, the activists, the LGBTQ plus community in New York really are beacons of leadership and hope and inspiration to the entire country. And today, we're lifting up the voices of Black, Latinx, and trans LGBTQ leaders from all across New York State. We're not downstate prejudice here. We're highlighting LGBTQ plus leaders from upstate and downstate. Queer and trans leaders in upstate and western New York have a lot of wisdom to share with those who live downstate. I'll be the first to say it as a downstater. Wisdom that will pay long-term dividends for LGBTQ justice in New York State and beyond. So hopefully, today will help to raise the visibility of queer organizations outside of New York City and introduce New York City-based leaders to colleagues and counterparts in faraway places like Albany and Buffalo and Rochester. I've been to all of those places. So we're not leaving New York City out. Actually, our first honoree is good New York or New York City person. So it's my privilege to present these proclamations, just a small way for us to recognize these outstanding individuals. So first, if I could call forward Carmen Neely, Executive Director of Harlem Pride. Carmen, you're carrying the responsibility for all New York City and downstate, okay? It's a big burden for you. And I'm going to say a few words about each of our honorees, and I'll give them the chance to offer a few words as well if they'd like. So let me tell you about Carmen. A native North Carolinian and a graduate of Howard University and Fordham University. Carmen has quite a background. She's worked in theater, banking, and special education. She co-founded Harlem Pride with Lawrence Rodriguez in 2010, and from that exhilarating and cathartic one-night celebration, Harlem's first Pride event, she's helped build a resourceful organization committed to empowering and serving Harlem's diverse, same-gender-loving LGBTQ community year-round, not just at the Pride event. While its long-awaited and much-needed Community Pride Center is now under construction, Harlem Pride continues to meet needs in every way possible, providing personal protective equipment, emergency supplies, and online mental health support during the pandemic. It's been a tough time for all of us, while continuing to give voice to the aspirations of the community and provide original programming. Fellow activists appreciate Carmen's wise leadership, her creative energy, her passion for justice. And Carmen, I'm looking forward to being at your Harlem Pride event this year. So let me, without further delay, make this presentation to you. We'll get a quick photo. And I will now turn the mic over to Carmen Neely for a few words. Carmen, it's all yours.
Thank you, Comptroller DiNapoli. Oh, that's just, I love the frame. It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to your office as well and your staff and everyone that worked to put this event together. This is lovely here at Stonewall. Thank you for everyone that's come out. Harlem Pride it started as just a one-time event, really. And through that, we realized that we found a niche in the community and that people really wanted us to continue. So we went forward with incorporating, making sure we had 501c3 and making sure our structure was solid. You know, I'm an administrative type. So, and then we just kept moving from there and we grew bigger and bigger, and then things started happening in the community and we realized that we needed to do more than just the June Pride celebrations. So we started to hold workshops and different forums and things of that nature. And from there, we just continued to grow. And we realized that we might need a community center. So we just started talking about it, putting some feelers out, went to the community board. Next thing you know, we've talked to a developer that led to a deal. And here we are under construction. The project has 3 phases because it's 50% affordable for the housing. We have a temporary space in the second phase, and then once the third and final phase is over, we can move into a 20,000 square foot space. And it's just amazing. This is a dream come true, and it has been a true community effort. It's not just Harlem Pride, but a coalition of organizations based uptown Manhattan that have come together to put together sort of a needs assessment to figure out what the community needs and how we can address it. We've had tremendous help from our local officials. It's really been great. And this year, coming back outside, we're great to host. We're happy to host Comptroller DiNapoli's team as well as others. But Pride this year, we call it the return. We had such a hard time and a hard hit during COVID to our community. Luckily, we were able to pivot and work with New York City with the test and trace program, where we passed out masks and hand sanitizer and other supplies and information. We created a community hub on our website where we posted information from the federal level and global level as well, all the way down to the boroughs and things of that nature, so people would at least have a centralized location to find information. And we did our best to keep it up as different news and updates came out about COVID, you know, every 5 seconds, it seemed like, at least in 2020. And luckily things have slowed down and we can come outside. So if you're available, please do join us this Saturday, June 25th, from noon to 5 p.m. We're on 12th Avenue between 133rd. We've expanded 2 blocks. From 133rd to 138th, we will feature a health hub. We will feature some yoga this year. We have a couple of celebrities and a great announcement about the center happening. So we love to have you join us. But just a last few words about Pride. You know, I think Pride has meant different things for many of us. But when it comes down to it, it's about visibility and making sure that we're seen. Through my years as an educator, countless students who, I mostly taught middle school and high school, so countless students who might have seen me on TV or saw an article during Pride would just come to me and say, "Hey, Miss Neely," and give me that look like, we know, we're here. And you know, that felt good, and also I think let the students know that there is somewhere to go. There are other people to see, that it doesn't just stop with what at that time they were seeing on TV. So, you know, I'm aging myself a little bit. I just turned 50 last month. Thank you. But it's good to see that progress has been made, but we definitely have further to go. A lot of things are hitting us right now. It's already been spoken about, but we really need to make sure that we get out there and continue the fight. So Pride is visibility, Pride is a protest, and Pride is happiness as well. So thank you very much. I appreciate this award, and congratulations to my fellow honorees. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It was really great. Belated happy birthday. You look pretty darn good for 50. Carmen Neely. Give her a round of applause again. Our next honoree is Tandra LaGrone, who's watching us online. So Tandra, thank you. But she's well represented by Keitham Simmons, her nephew, if you could come forward, Mr. Simmons, and Dr. Angela Ledford, who is a member of the board of directors of In Our Own Voices. So give them a round of applause for representing Tandra. Tandra LaGrone, a Capital Region, that's around Albany, for those of you who don't know the lingo, native and a graduate of SUNY New Paltz. She directed Girls Incorporated and advocated for improved HIV/AIDS care in the Black community prior to joining In Our Own Voices in the year 2005. She began as the Albany-based organization's sole staff member. She helped build the organization over the years into a multifaceted service provider devoted to the survival and growth of the LGBT people of color in Albany and environs. Under her leadership, In Our Own Voices operates a full-service community center on Lark Street, the hub of Albany. You know Lark Street. And the organization organizes the region's Black and Latino Pride celebration and addresses the needs of the community through direct services, training and technical assistance, and system-level advocacy. Community members appreciate her courage, tenacity, and unflinching commitment to obtaining liberation and justice for historically marginalized people. So as I mentioned, unfortunately, Tandra is unable to be with us in person, but she's watching, so we wave to you. She has asked Dr. Ledford and Mr. Simmons to accept the award. As I said, Keitham is her nephew, and Dr. Ledford is a member of the board of directors of In Our Own Voices. So, Tandra, you are doubly well represented, and we'll take a picture with your reps, and we'll see if one of them would like to say a few words on your behalf.
Raise this a little bit. So I just want to say thank you, Mr. Comptroller. It's an honor to be here. For me personally, I got my start in the corporate world at 110 State Street back in 2006, 2007. Yes. Now I'm a director at Bank of America focusing on renewable energy transactions, so I appreciate it. But my aunt, she wishes that she could be here tonight. Unfortunately, we have some things going on in the family, but on her behalf, she's honored to receive this recognition, especially when LGBT individuals are under attack, more explicitly LGBT Black, Indigenous, and people of color. There have been over 325 bills introduced into legislation that target LGBT communities across our country, with over 50% of them directed at transgender people. She encourages all of us to support LGBT people of color leadership and BIPOC lead organizations by funding, advocating, and making room at the table to create change and promote equity for true liberation. So on her behalf, I want to thank you all and thank all the honorees.
Happy Pride again. It's very exciting to stand at the Stonewall Inn. I should mention that though I live in Albany and you think that's the hinterlands and you wonder what kind of language we speak there, that I'm actually from rural West Texas.
Oh, wow.
So I never thought that I would be standing in the Stonewall. And in many ways, it is because of people like Tandra and people like Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, who started the first Pride riot. Even more than a protest, right? It was a riot. And I'm no politician. I'm a political theory professor, super boring. I'm not going to tell you to vote. I'm going to tell you to vote with your feet. It's going to take a lot more than voting to face all of the challenges that Comptroller DiNapoli has talked about, as well as Assemblymember Glick. So I'm very, very lucky that I have gotten to be dear friends with Tandra and a co-conspirator for the last 15 years. And the 17 years that she has grown this organization, there are not many more people in the Capital Region. I can think of somebody like Alice Green and Barbara Smith, who have been thoroughly instrumental in the Capital Region in serving the most marginalized. Barbara Smith would be the first to remind you that none of us get free until the most marginalized get free. So let's think about that as we start off, well, we've started off the month already, but as we kick off Pride in New York City. And on behalf of Tandra and in our own voices, I want to thank you very much for this honor.
Tandra, you were well represented. Give them a round of applause again. That was great. Fabulous, fabulous. We're going to stick with that upstate. Uptown, Carmen was uptown. Our other honorees are upstate. Upstate New York Black and Latino Pride, represented by Communications Director Alex Burgos. Alex, come forward. So let me tell you something about the organization. It was founded in Buffalo, New York, and our hearts have been with Buffalo for these past few weeks for obvious reasons. Upstate Pride originally focused on the ambition of hosting a Pride festival, but soon evolved to address a range of needs in the communities it serves, including workforce development initiatives, financial literacy workshops, and support for rural, queer, and trans people. The group continues to develop new programs while promoting visibility and embracing intersectionality. In addition, Upstate New York Black and Latino Pride is collaborating with Rochester Black Pride to organize a joint Pride festival in Batavia, New York, midway between Buffalo and Rochester, and introduced its Pursuit of Pride Week last summer to recognize the multifaceted contributions of Black and brown people to the shared struggle for freedom, justice, and dignity. Upstate New York Black and Latino Pride strives in all ways to honor and share the beauty of the queer community. So, congratulations to Upstate New York Black and Latino Pride's founder and director, Tajay Jenkins Jones, who's watching us online, I'm told. Give it up for Tajay. Sorry you can't be here in person. But you are also ably represented by the Communications Director, Alex Burgos, who is accepting the award on behalf of Upstate New York Black and Latino Pride. So Alex, we're very pleased to present this to you and to Tajay and really the whole organization. Thank you for the great work that you are doing.
Make some noise for State Comptroller Thomas DiNapoli. I am so honored and humbled to be receiving statewide recognition for my work in advancement of communities of color, the LGBTQ+ community, and all underserved populations throughout Western New York. I am deeply honored to be accepting the award on behalf of my friends at Black and Latino Pride, but also accepting on behalf of our entire community, a community that for so long has felt unseen and unheard, but are making it known that they will take their place and they will be at the forefront of this movement. Recently, a lot of people have called me a leader or an emerging leader, and I don't take that lightly. I believe that leadership is not something that is merely earned, but is a lifelong commitment. It must be demonstrated constantly. My desire to lead and serve my community is rooted in my natural calling to do good for others. We are the city of good neighbors, after all, but I strive to be a great neighbor. I believe that the guiding forces of my leadership and the ways in which I serve our community are through servitude, sacrifice, and advocacy. But most importantly, opening doors for my community. The work that I do is my way of giving back to the world. These values that I uphold are the guiding force behind my promise to you. I have countless people to thank. Firstly, I'd like to thank my family for always supporting me and pushing me to do greater and greater than I have ever thought. In addition to my family, the first people that I thought of were the people that came before us, the people that have paved our way. More specifically, LGBTQ plus seniors of color, especially from our Latino community in Buffalo, who have provided me with so much support and encouragement that I can never repay them for. Even though it's great to carry the torch forward, the folks who pass the torch must be brought with us, and they can never go forgotten. Each day I wake up and think of these people, the ways in which I can include them, honor their legacy, and eventually pass down that torch to our youth, who are the next generation of leaders. With the attacks on the LGBTQ plus community nationwide and the racist act of terrorism in the city of Buffalo, it's easy to feel angry, demoralized, and defeated. But I know that a change is coming, and that our communities will be at the forefront of this change. And I'm so excited for the day that we see leaders from our community at the decision-making table. Thank you to everyone who supports and believes in me. I'm bringing you with me on this journey. And before I go, I would like to deliver a message from Tandra Jenkins Jones of Upstate New York Black and Latino Pride. He serves as the president and founder. To the office of the New York State Comptroller, as a community leader, I know that it is my duty to always elevate my community with the knowledge and resources I am privileged to have access to. This honor from the State Comptroller's Office is the beginning of dialogue that I am so honored to be executing with Western New York's queer POC communities, which significantly contributes so much to what makes Western New York great, which is why it is so important to protect the cultural and artistic diversity that we offer from this area. In the past, queer people had no representation, which makes receiving this honor today more important than ever. Upstate New York Black and Latino Pride was born due to the inequity we've seen amongst queer people of color in Western New York. I believe that equity means everyone having access to the same opportunities regardless of who they are or where they come from. Our work has allowed us to connect different POC communities within the larger queer POC community by celebrating the differences we all have as strengths, and they help create a better world for everyone. In closing, the work that we all do of saving the world has so much more meaning than just doing what we're told is right or what is just. It means that we are creating the world for someone, and that is why it's so important to continue trying to make a better tomorrow. And from Tandra Jenkins Jones, thank you to New York State Comptroller Thomas DiNapoli. I dedicate this honor to my family, both biological and chosen, and I hope that our work only progresses from here. Best regards, Tandra Jenkins Jones.
That was great. Tandra, you were well represented by Alex. Give Alex another round of applause for speaking so eloquently on behalf of Upstate New York Black and Latino Pride. And Tandra, thank you for watching us virtually. And I'm sure I could hear it in your message that this recognition is meaningful to you, and it's meaningful to us that you accepted this honor recognition. And Alex, you were here earlier, so you heard Councilmember Eric Botcher and Assemblymember Deborah Glick. I could tell by your eloquence that I see a future elected official in Alex Burgo. So give Alex a round of applause there as well. Now, the final honoree for me to call forward is a gentleman by the name of, let me see if I get this name right, Thaddeus Mack. the Deputy County Clerk for the great county of Monroe. Where is he? Tad, what are you doing? You're supposed to come up at this point. Some things don't change. I'm just learning about you, reading this.
I'm going to learn a lot, too.
So Thaddeus, or Tad as he's more affectionately known, began his public service career at age 18 by winning an election to serve on the Henrietta Rush School Board. It's not that impressive. It was done years before he did it. I just want to point that out. Tad served on the staff of Assemblyman Joe Morelli, a great, great leader now in Congress. Give Joe Morelli a round of applause, as Director of Community Affairs. In 2017, he was appointed to the Office of State Controller's regional staff as the Finger Lakes Regional Representative. There you go, so I do know you. Tad did so many wonderful things and undertook so many wonderful projects for us. And, you know, obviously I'm teasing him a bit, but he really was a joy and a delight to work with. So dedicated, so hardworking, knows so much about Rochester and the Monroe County community and the Finger Lakes region. Everybody knows Tad up there. What an incredible asset he was to me as I got to know that community even better. But, you know, in line with the theme for Pride, he organized our first Pride event and helped to bring attention to the work of LGBTQ plus leaders upstate, among so many other achievements. So Tad, in a way, you know, that we talked about a through line earlier of Stonewall to today. This event, recognizing particularly upstate LGBTQ communities and communities of color, is a through line from the work that you started with us, right? So he joined the Monroe County Clerk's team back in 2020, a sad day for us, but a happy day for Monroe County. Tad has been a longtime activist and community leader involved in so many civic organizations, ranging from the Gay Alliance of the Genesee Valley to the Kiwanis Club and so many other key organizations in his community. He's helped to bring government attention to the daily realities of queer and trans life in upstate New York, particularly in the more western parts of the state. I know I speak for everyone here and those who aren't here on the OSC team in saying that your colleagues in government and certainly all community stakeholders appreciate your expansive vision, your tireless dedication, your commitment to advancing the common good, and really to recognize your great heart and your generous spirit, your wonderful sense of humor. You really are someone who makes us all better by just being around you. And we are so honored that you accepted this recognition, traveled all the way to New York City just to be with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, Tad Mack.
So I don't have a staff to prepare this, and I forget what font you love, but Alex wouldn't do that for me. I asked Alex Ippolito if he would be so generous, but I just have a couple of words to share with you all. I have to thank the comptroller. You know. He took a chance on me and changed my world and life and my understanding of how we can use government to make a change. When they offered me the job, I didn't really know what the comptroller's office did. I knew sort of the mechanics of what I was going to be sort of endeavoring in, but I really didn't know the work that the office did. And he has taken this office in such a way to protect and to serve the LGBTQ community in such an important way. Like he said about doing the audit report for DASA and corporate governance and hate crime, using a unique office to really push the envelope when it comes to awareness and when it comes to advocacy. So I'm very lucky to have been a part of it, even if it was a small and short period of time. And I thank my InterGov family, I love you, and they do such wonderful work, Liz and Aaron and the rest of the team. You know, at a time when public servants are being under attack, just like the LGBTQ community, these people are public servants and they're doing such miraculous work by highlighting issues that affect our community in such a way. So I'm very honored. The honorees, I feel so undeserving. I joked because when they called, I said to Liz, I'm like, I read the bios of everyone. I said, I feel like I'm just a political hack. I was like, I don't, they're so impressive. And I feel very honored to be amongst you all. The work that you have done, it is undeserving in my mind for myself, but you have encouraged me to work harder, to speak out more, and quite frankly, to be a better person than hopefully I already am. And I have to just say that, you know, when you talk about activism, people always ask, how do you get involved or how do you become an activist? And I always say to them, the two pieces that make an activist is compassion and empathy. You have to have the compassion to want to change someone's life and help them grow, and the empathy to get into what their life is all about, and wanting to make sure that you make it better for them. So if you have those two traits, you can do anything and change the world. And I really do appreciate this honor very much so.
You're your own good staff person. Give it up again for Tad Mack. That was great. You don't need a staff person, Tad. Give County Clerk Romeo our best, even though she stole you from us. And Tad, just so you know, I appreciate your humility. I never saw it when you worked with us, but you deserve this honor just because of the way you have touched so many lives, and you really have had an impact on so many people, and I know we all feel that way. And just so you know, I ad-libbed a lot of my own nice words about you. I didn't just read what was said about you. Well, how about a collective round of applause for all of our honorees? I thought they were spectacular. I appreciate all of you being here. I appreciate the folks who were watching online. Did our friend Kurt Kelly make it upstairs? How about another round of applause to Kurt Kelly, co-owner of the Stonewall Inn, for hosting us. Happy Pride, everyone. We'll see some of you at Harlem Pride on Saturday. We'll see some of you at New York City's Pride Parade on Sunday. And again, thanks for being with us. Still a lot of work to do, but happy Pride, everyone. Thank you.